Yeah, Nintendo copyright claim coming in 3, 2, 1.
Nintendo is on a bit of a hot streak with the Switch. No, seriously, stick with us. The console is breaking sales records for the company, it's got arguably one of the best launch titles of all time, and it's had some decent reviews as well. But we do wonder, how and why has the system been such a monumental success? When it scratches people's screens, it ruins people's controllers, there's widespread reports of dead pixels, and the left-hand side of the controller doesn't respond properly if you're sitting a bit too far away from the TV.
Nintendo has revealed that debut weekend sales for the Switch have exceeded any other Nintendo console in history. That's good going, and if we're being honest, it's a bit of a surprise. Nick Wingfield, a reporter for the New York Times, held an interview with Nintendo's Reggie Fils-Aimé this week, and he shared some critical sales figures regarding the Switch's launch. Wingfield tweeted details about the interview, revealing that in the console's first couple of days, sales for the Switch in the Americas had exceeded any other Nintendo system. That makes it the biggest Nintendo launch since the Wii back in 2006 and Nintendo's fastest selling console ever.
Exact sales figures were not given, but we can assume that since the Wii sold over 600,000 consoles in the first 8 days, the Switch has sold even more than that. The Switch also managed to sell 80,000 units for its UK debut, whereas the Wii U sold only 40,000 units during its debut back in 2012. This is impressive considering the Wii launched in the holiday shopping season, whereas the Switch launched at the beginning of a new year, when people are typically less inclined to make big purchases.
So a little bit about the figures here. We can assume over 600,000 sales for the North Americas. We can assume that, well, I've actually said over 300,000 sales for Japan so far. France has sold 100,000 units and UK 80,000 units. So we're assuming it's over 1 million units shipped already, which is good going for a week.
I wasn't expecting it to do that well, to be honest, though. You know, the reviews were good. They were like average to good. It wasn't like people weren't blown away by the system. So, you know, it's interesting. They obviously got the marketing right this time around.
Yeah, and obviously they produced enough units they didn't do in any other previous console, like the original Wii. That was the previous record, and they were stunted by the fact there wasn't enough consoles to go around back then. I remember myself trying to buy one, and it was impossible. I had to get one off eBay in the end and pay over the odds, which I will never do again because it was such a disappointment. But while sales for the Switch are off to an immense start, there have also been an alarming number of reports from players experiencing significant issues with their consoles. One of the first issues to emerge was the left Joy-Con controller, which was suffering from sync issues if the user was more than 10 feet away from the console. Nintendo said this would be fixed with the day one patch, but reports of the patch indicated mixed results. Some said it worked, whereas others found no difference whatsoever. YouTuber Spawnwave managed to open up the Joy-Con and found the signal antenna was underpowered. He also managed to extend the signal's range by resoldering the antenna, which indicates the sync issues were in fact an inbuilt hardware problem. Then came the reports that applying vinyl stickers or decals to the console or controllers could ruin the plastic that they are made from. D-Brand, an aftermarket decal supplier, broke the news that any adhesive-based stickers would cause the plastic coating to degrade when they are removed from the console. The result is pretty gnarly.
Now, if all this wasn't enough, there's also been reports of the docking station actually scratching the screen whenever it's used for some people. And this is actually the worst complaint that I've probably heard so far. Apparently, people who place the Switch tablet into the dock without lining it up perfectly could end up scratching the screens on their brand new device. It quickly transpired that this was due to some of the docking stations featuring a manufacturing defect. The front-facing part of the dock was slightly bent backwards, which caused the plastic guides inside the dock to forcibly press against the screen. The docking station vanished from the official Nintendo store soon after these complaints emerged, which led to speculation that Nintendo had actually pulled it from sale. However, it turns out the dock was just out of stock and the store page has since been updated.
Finally, users reported instances of freshly unboxed Switches already having dead and stuck pixels on the screen. Nintendo issued a statement saying dead and stuck pixels are normal for LCD screens and as such should not be considered a defect. That's basically the corporate way of saying it's not our problem. Fuck you. What a kick in the arse, isn't it?
I didn't read "fuck you" from that. I got to be honest.
I know I added that to the script, Mike. I added that.
But there is a huge amount of problems, a baffling amount of issues with this. Just technical, all little faults, little niggly kind of complaints about this. All like hardware related as well, the way it's been manufactured and stuff. It's not really good when something comes out and it's just disappointing like this.
It's bollocks, Mike.
It's bollocks.
You don't open a product and have dead pixels on the screen and then having the manufacturer tell you it's supposed to have dead pixels. Oh, that's normal.
Yeah.
Bollocks, Nintendo. Sort your shit out. This isn't normal. Like, it's a defective product. Take it back, fix it, give me a new one, you piece of shit.
It's kind of, it is, I mean, I say this quite a lot as well, but it's kind of classic Nintendo when some, things are going well, they got a good game in their lineup, and they're getting a lot of sales.
Getting good press now.
But nothing, it's always a caveat, there's always like something, there's always complaints about something. They never quite execute properly, considering they can make some of the best games that we are given as a gaming community, the best games we get to experience come from Nintendo. They just do things in like in an odd way. Yeah.
It reeks of just cheap hardware decisions. It's like they could have used Gorilla Glass, which was prevented plastic from scratching the screen. When do you know plastic to scratch the screen unless it's a really cheap screen? And then the plastic itself on the controller has been eaten by this adhesive they put on it. It's really cheap plastic, a really cheap screen. I mean, it just stinks. It reeks of cheap hardware.
Yeah, cut corners, isn't it? And it's kind of, they're obviously trying to keep the cost down on this thing, so that they're cramming all this technology into a tablet, trying to get console quality graphics on a tablet, and they've obviously cut corners just so that it's kind of affordable. And also, you can theorize as well with things like especially with the scratching issue when you're putting a tablet in. Potentially, maybe that's because they just didn't spend enough time in quality assurance testing this thing. If it works properly when you do put the tablet in the dock, maybe that did get flagged in the QA process, but they were like, nah, you know what, it's too late. Let's just press on, and hopefully it won't be too much of a problem. Just cutting corners and doing things in a quick way just to get a console out and to get it out quite cheap. It probably helps quite a bit that the Switch launched with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, a fan favourite franchise and currently one of the most acclaimed games of all time. It's one of the few games to release in the last few years with a Metacritic score placing it in the top 10 games ever made. Breath of the Wild has actually set the record for the most 100% ratings on Metacritic, holding 43 perfect reviews, beating both Super Mario Galaxy and The Last of Us, which both had 42 perfect reviews.
Nintendo's good press continued this week when indie developer Image and Form, creators of the SteamWorld games, said Nintendo were treating indies like royalty. GamesIndustry.biz detailed how Nintendo have gone out of their way to make the Switch easily accessible for them to develop and publish for. Some of the ways in which Nintendo have made the process easier include making developer kits for the consoles very affordable, priced at $450 compared to the PS4 dev kit, which costs $2,500. For a small indie dev, this is a huge incentive to develop on the Switch. Nintendo have already confirmed that more than 60 indie titles are heading for the Switch. And the final bit of news to cap off Nintendo's Switch launch week is that we now have concrete evidence that people have channeled their excitement for this console some very weird ways.
CompanyReviews.com have put together a handy illustrated Twitter map using people's tweets to determine the exact time and place that people try to eat their Nintendo Switch cartridges, at least in the US. After reports emerged last week saying that Switch cartridges tasted bad, Nintendo actually had to release a statement confirming they applied a bittering agent to game cartridges as a way of discouraging small children from putting them in their mouths. But if Twitter's anything to go by, it wasn't just kids munching on their new Nintendo Switch cartridges.
This is the Saturday Show, and you know what that means. It means it's time to take a look at what you've been saying on our videos this week.
First up, commenting on our Bolivia versus Ghost Recon video, Genjotsu says, Bolivia should ask Russia how they deal with always being the bad guys.
I feel like answering this question is just too... It's like a minefield, isn't it? It's a diplomatic minefield for us. Don't alienate Bolivia and Russia in the same answer. So good luck with this.
Diplomatic minefield. We don't want to disturb those Welsh-Russian relations.
Next up on the COD DLC video, Harshit Doobie says, fans, yeah, that's the worst Activision can do. Activision, hold my beer.
Every time you think, that's it, they can't get any worse, the companies kind of seem to just take that on board and, challenge accepted. They try and throw something else at us. It is ridiculous.
They find another teat to squeeze and another bit of shit to drop on your head.
Hi, my name is Chris AVA says, oh my god, Activision owe me new bollocks because when you read this out, I spilled tea all over my bollocks.
Well, unlucky there, dude. That is very unfortunate.
It's a hard luck story if ever I heard one.
Ouch. Next up on the podcast video, Barduk4 comments, are open world games really oversaturated? I mean, compared with linear games. I feel like there's a lot more linear games out there than open world ones.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair question. When we say open world games and think, open world games as we think of them, it's kind of its own specific genre, whereas linear games, there's all kinds of different linear games. First person shooters and third person action adventures are both kind of linear games. BioShock and Uncharted, they're both linear, but they're totally different genres. So open world, as I think of them anyway, is kind of the Ubisoft style, towers, bases, or they've all got very similar mechanics. So
Side quests.
the open world thing has just got to evolve a little bit, I think. That's what the point we were making. Also commenting on the podcast, Daniel Clark Hughes says, looks like I'm duct taping the kids to the wall for half an hour. Don't do that. don't do that.
As somebody with 2 kids of my own, I can 100%,
Thanks for the advice.
I can 100% concur that is probably the best thing to do. Last up on the Zelda review roundup video, Columbo Germano comments, the best game ever is the one that you can play, the one that you enjoy, and the one you have fond memories of. The best game ever is not the one other people tell you is the best.
That's very true. We've all got different game, best game ever.
Yeah.
Usually one of your earliest ones. The reason you get Ocarina of Time, Metal Gear Solid 1, Half-Life 2, those kind of things is because people were young when they were playing them and it kind of blew their mind in some way. Certainly for me, it was Ocarina of Time. I didn't realise video games could be that awesome because before then I'd only played, SNES kind of 2D side-scrollers and stuff like that.
Way to shit on the SNES there, Mike.
No.
I didn't realise it could be awesome. I only played the SNES.
The SNES was great, but then when you give me 3 dimensions...
Did you play Mario Kart on the SNES?
Yes, I did, yeah.
That was fucking awesome. What are you on? That was
good.
Awesome.
But but it wasn't Ocarina of Time though, was it? That's the thing. Everything that reaches like a platinum tier, 10 out of 10, one of the best games ever. You can kind of agree that every single one of those is the best game of all time in some way to some people.
Before we go this week, we do have to mention that one of our videos got claimed because we're not advertiser friendly.
Yeah.
We got told that our video about the Colombian government, the monetization has been stripped off it because we're not advertiser friendly. That's what happens when we speak our minds and we tell people what we think. There are plenty of other YouTube channels where they'll just water down what they think. We're not like that. We're Pretty Good Gaming. We tell you exactly what we think, and we're starting to feel the repercussions of that.
Yeah. So that is why when we ask you to support us on Patreon, we just want to protect ourselves from that kind of bollocks. For something that we thought there was no problem with it at all.
Yeah.
And bang, gone like that. So that's kind of where we're coming from.
We would love to not have to rely at all on the adverts on YouTube, and for you guys to support us would mean that we would be not reliant at all, so they could come at us with everything they wanted and we could still be able to speak our minds, supported by you
Jim
guys.
Sterling, I mean, he has no fear now because he's got such a strong
awesome support.
Yeah, thank you very much to everyone who's already decided to support us. I mean, it's really surprised us that so many of you stepped up already, which is incredible, the amount of support we've seen so far. Thank you very much.
So that is it for our Switch launch week video. What do you think about the Nintendo Switch? How do you think it's going to go for Nintendo and the Switch in future? Let us know down in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button if you're new around here. Check out some more of our content around about here. And we'll see you again in the next video. Bye for now.